everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Knee Slapping K-Pop podcast. I am Kayla, and today I'm here with Sammi.
Hello, hello.
And we are here so late to finally do our last episode on Road to Kingdom Ace of Ace.
Look, it's been a long couple weeks.
It has. Lots of stuff has happened.
Medical issues.
Yes.
There were setbacks. The world has turned upside down like 4 times.
Oh, yeah. It's been a time.
K-pop has turned itself in like 3 knots.
Oh, yeah.
Actual physical knots. Big Bang came back from the dead. It's
been quite a time.
A lot has happened. But here we are for the finale. We had one round, the last round, and then the finale today.
Yes.
So we have 2 rounds.
2 rounds, really. Well, and then the second round 3 is doing the round 3 bullshit. So it's kind of like 2 rounds by itself, too. So
yes.
There's also that.
So, that is true. So, for the most part, we're just going to be talking about the covers of Love Dive Sherlock. Not Luna, because that's not a cover.
Not a cover, but, you know,
Armageddon, whatever Gravity did, and I forget. The Exos. What is Exos?
Overdose. That's the
Overdose,
one.
thank you, and Jobbing.
Yep.
And then we're going to go through all the original songs.
Yes.
And then we find out who wins, and dear God, is it not as exciting as it sounds.
It's very unexciting. It's a very unexciting winner.
Exactly what you think it is. It's exactly
what happens every single season of this show.
It's exactly what we said was gonna happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's exactly what we already said would happen.
It's exactly what happens every time we run this show. It is the same. If anything, it's consistent.
If anything, it is. Though, a couple of the things I was a little happy about. But we'll get to it when we get there. So to start off with, I think we're just going to talk about the covers. And I want to start with the best cover. Because we always start with the best cover. Because we always start with 8 Turn.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
And 8 Turn is the only people, like we've said every other episode, the only people that have any idea who they are on this show.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The only people that are like, you know who we are 8 Turn. And they know what that means.
Any form of group identity. Just
a group identity that's not just, we are a boy group in K-pop.
Yes. And it's crazy that they are the group of the clearest identity and they being the youngest group in this show. Both by age and like career as a group.
And not just that, but they are also the group that is doing... in terms of the songs that are presented to me, because we have Overdose. One, they're the only people doing again, I know Armageddon's a girl group song, but for the most part, it kind of does feel like an NCT song to me.
It does. It's got that generic NCT
it has that
SM bullshit happening.
They're the only people doing a song this round that I think is genuinely outside of their comfort zone, and that they are not forcing into their comfort zone. Because I'll talk about the group I have next on this playlist that I have in front of me, because I need to remember what these sound like.
Oh, yeah.
8 Turn is doing Love Dive.
Yes.
And Love Dive, it is a bit of a remix of Love Dive, but it's identifiably Love Dive.
Right.
It sounds like Love Dive. If you told me this was a remix that IVE did of Love Dive,
right,
it's not that different than how IVE does Love Dive.
Right.
But the performance is very 8 Turn. And not in, like, the way that, people complain about with boy groups where it's like, oh, they're refusing to do the female choreo. Well, they made it their own. They're working on it. They still do a lot of the moves from IVE. It works. It's showing a bit of a more... sensitive is the wrong word. Soft is the wrong word.
Yeah.
Delicate?
I don't know, honestly.
There's something
the correct word is.
I don't know what the word is, because it just feels very light.
Yes.
And none of those are insulting terms. All of them are just the terms I think about a lot of times when I think of IVE's music. And also when I think of this song, because it's very light. There's nothing hard, there's nothing heavy in it.
Right. It's got that, like, oh my girl, like, fresh type fairy, kind of vibe to it. I don't know how to describe that in a better way.
And honestly, again, they made it work for them. They showed a different side of them. Do I think that this is what the next 8-turn comeback's going to sound like? No.
Absolutely not. But
do I think it works?
A fun little cover, yeah.
And I do think that it was probably the hardest song. In terms of the rest of these people, the rest of these groups are doing songs that either fit their mold, are the thing that they've been doing this entire show, or are their own song.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the only people doing something out of their comfort zone. And I think they knocked it out of the park. It's not my favorite of their covers.
Right.
But for the most part, I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. It was nice. It's, yeah, I would say it's definitely not my favorite from them, but it is still very well done.
Also, to continue to bring up costuming.
Yes.
Costuming in this is quite well done.
Yes.
Also, this is the same costuming I think they should have used for whoever did that underwater
oh yeah.
That underwater prince thing.
Yeah.
This should have been the costumes for that. Especially the Ace's costume with that like blue shirt. Yeah. That should have been what they used. They shouldn't have just done the same costumes that they've worn 1,000 other times. Yeah. It's the only people doing things with costuming.
I know.
It's insane to me that this is where we are. It's insane to me. This is where this is what we've come to. That I'm like, because I'm like the costuming is not difficult. But for this show, honestly,
it's hard. It's hard for them to get asked for anything that isn't like all black or all white, and then one person is in like red or some other color that is boring. Like,
and there's a lot of white in this, but there's like pink, there's colors, there's accent colors,
right? But it's white because it's like fitting for the theme. It's not white because we have no other options, and we have no creativity.
I like frills. It's insane to me that this is where we are.
I know, right?
Ugh. So we go from the best to the worst.
Yep. Oh, God.
We do. So we go to the crew one, which is an assortment of nonsense. An immediate downgrade. How the hell did we lose a group and it wasn't them?
How they made the finale is shocking.
But, so... they're doing Sherlock. Sherlock is the other song that I think is like a little bit out of their comfort zone, because one, anything is out of their comfort zone, they're not a real group. And two, Sherlock is not, it's difficult to perform. When I say hard, I don't mean like in technicality.
Right.
But it's not your noise boy group, let's go as hard as, there's a lot of finesse to Shiny.
Right.
That I think a lot of boy groups don't have now.
Uh-huh.
And also vocally, I think it is extremely challenging because it is Shiny.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
In a way that I think a lot of the other songs aren't as much of.
Right.
But we take that and we just stripped all that away.
Yes.
And we essentially gave us military bullshit.
It is so aggressively military.
Not just that.
It's very the Gulf War military. Like
the Gulf War.
Very the Gulf War.
It is very.
It makes me so uncomfortable that this is the theming they chose. Like, something about it feels, like, bad. And I can't, like, and I think it's probably because it's, like, I don't like using war as, like, symbolism, especially not for a fucking K-pop cover. Like, I don't think that's fun or cute. Like, I don't like that.
And, like here's the thing. I feel like a lot of times when K-pop uses military symbolism, they use more, like,
Korean?
Dress not that. I'm thinking like Wonderland by ATEEZ. Like, it's dress uniforms.
It's like,
it's not
for sure.
Middle
it's not
of combat.
Actual military. Like, this is very much feels like more realistic like we're actually like in a war zone type thing.
And not just that, I do feel like they are kind of hiding behind the theming a little bit.
Oh yeah. And
it's very showy. So much of the work.
Yeah, it's very showy. It's very theatrical, but like not in a way that I think is fun in any capacity.
I think it's theatrical in a way that's kind of boring. It's so on the nose because it's a lot of marching.
Yeah,
it's a lot of marching and walking.
They do some of that, like, belaying, like, we're coming in from a helicopter type things from the stage, but, like, that's kind of whatever.
The only real bits of choreo you get is the chorus bits, and I'm at least thankful that they did do the Shiny choreo, because that would have been an absolute travesty to actually take away the choreo from Sherlock. Yeah. That would have genuinely been upsetting.
Right.
I also think it's hiding the fact that no offense to them, the crew one does have decent singers. They don't have shiny singers.
No. Not shiny level singers.
They don't have shiny levels.
They don't got that.
It's just so... Overall, the theming was not for us, but even beyond that, it just feels like lazy theming.
Yeah.
It's giving, like... It's giving, like, that one Deadpool performance that Stray Kids did. It's giving the Egyptian performance that Pentagon did.
Yep.
Where you lean so hard in on the theming that it takes away from what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
The theme cannot carry you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just because they had... Like, I don't know if they maybe didn't want to lean British because they already did that Harry Potter performance, even though that would have been stupid. None of those things have anything to do with each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or they thought that they couldn't do a theming around, like, mysteries and Sherlock well.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I just think that they went...
We went too far in the other direction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess they wanted a clear theme as opposed to a vague theme.
Yeah.
And I do think that they're like, well, this other theme is going to be harder. It's going to be harder. It's going to take... Again, I think they probably have 3 days to fucking do this.
Right.
They're like, this is easy.
That is another thing I was going to mention about this show that I thought was interesting. It does seem to go faster than
it does.
Past seasons.
So
I think
fast.
it has less episodes. And so the pacing for it just feels a little bit worse than normal.
Yeah. Like, if you want to take something and go full in on a theme, I think the way they did the Stealer from Kingdom,
right,
is how you take a theme that's really not mine. I don't love mob themes in K-pop just because they are very performative, and 2, I'm like, what the fuck do you know? What are you talking about? Like, really just feels very like, okay, what are you gonna do? But they committed so hard. The commitment was there. They had a clear story path. All of that. This did it without the story, and like with about, I'm gonna go with 65 to 70% of the commitment that SF9 had.
Oh yeah.
And the problem is 65 to 70% of the commitment kind of looks silly.
It's not enough. It's true.
That's not enough.
It's really not enough, especially not for this show.
No, especially not for this specifically.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't like it.
I don't.
And like overall, I think the cover is fine. It's a very...
The thing is I can't even grade it on like, is it a good cover of Sherlock? Because I'm so distracted by all the other nonsense. But like every bit I'm hearing is, I'm like, I don't hear any bum notes. I don't hear anybody just sounding atrocious. Right.
But like, in terms of Shiny, like 1, Shiny's so exceptional. And 2, I think that, how do I put this in a way that's nice? Shiny's been covered too many times. And I think Sherlock is becoming a big song. I think people used to do Replay a lot, and then that got played out. And now they're doing Sherlock a lot.
Uh-huh.
And I do think that it's getting to the point where I'm like, if you're just another mid-cover of Sherlock, you're gonna get lost. There's very few covers of... Like, people remember things that are, like, standout covers of something. And you can become a standout cover of something.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, they just get forgotten because you're one of 8 to 10 people that covered something in the span of a year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine if you don't want to be remembered. But, like, a boy group covering Love Dive, a little bit more interesting to me.
Right. You're gonna cover Shiny for the 10,000th time. And it's like, okay, well, and it wasn't even good, so...
Exactly.
Sure.
Alright, next we go to probably the easiest thing to do, which is do your own song.
Do your own song.
Luna.
Yeah.
ONEUS just did a performance that they did before, because they did Lit, which was their other song that is very traditional Korean inspired. When they were on Road to Kingdom the first time.
Yep. And
now the second time, they just get to do it again.
Made it a little bit more dramatic, and then...
They just made it
we had a little bit more budget this time.
Essentially, they brought women.
Yes,
not
they brought
men.
in women. Yes.
I will say, it is a little less throw everything and the kitchen sink as last time. Because last time there were like, I feel like there were weirdly more people. And there were puppets, and it was a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But this is a little more, I think, much like how Lit is, like, big and boisterous and party, Luna was always a little more, like, subdued and a little more classy as comparison. So, like, that kind of makes sense.
Right.
But in terms of, like, what it is kind of just Lit 2.0. And I loved Lit.
Right,
and I do kind of love this, too.
It's great. Honestly, it's
great.
Like, it was the type of performance that I was like, you've got so many good songs. You just gotta pick one that's good. Yeah, and they finally did that, and it was very good. But it just is a little bit too late for them at this point in the show.
My other issue is, I think, the continual, and this is sort of a theme throughout all of them, but it does get a little bit worse with One Us, just because I know the members of One Us in a way that I don't know the members of these other groups.
Oh, yeah.
Them segmenting off so much of these performances to be based on one person.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is the ace of ace.
Yep.
And I think it is a drawback for all the performances. I will even say that for 8 Turn. I will say that for the crew one. I will say that for every performance is the segmentation.
Yeah.
The forced segmentation.
It makes the performances actively worse.
It makes the performances worse.
Yeah.
Just because you're forced to put in sections that, like, we could be using this 30 seconds to just do something with the full group. And the one thing I will give One Us in this performance, and only this performance, is they did attempt to give each different person a moment.
Right.
And just give the ace, like, a longer moment. So, like, I'll give it that everyone did get a moment front and center.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because every time I think about this and I'm like, all of these performances are being made work by the format of this show. It's like the format of the show is actively like encouraging these subpar to bad performances because of the way they have to format them.
And, like, even a performance that I absolutely adore will be lowered in my mind because, again, we have nothing in this show that I think has reached the heights of, for example, our favorite performance is Full Dash, but, like, let's take that out of consideration. Let's just go with a performance that has a shit ton of people in it that we also love. Let's go to what is it? Heroine from Road to Kingdom. Let's do Road to Kingdom and Road to Kingdom. Can you imagine if they had stopped the performance halfway and had 2 people just, like, do an interlude in the middle?
Doing some bullshit in the middle,
No! That performance works because it's a shit ton of people on stage.
Right.
Or can you imagine if in the middle of, to go all the way back to the original Queendom, if in that Oh My Girl Destiny performance, they had stopped for, like, a Yuna dance break?
Oh, yeah.
I think it would take away. It stops the flow in its tracks.
It does. It's unfortunate because
it is.
It's so constant as well. It's like because of the format. It's like the format is enforcing this format of performance onto every single group here.
And I don't know
like,
if they're
it makes
not
it
allowed
worse.
to do it this way, but I do think that if they were able to just sort of, and I know probably the show would absolutely discourage this.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they were able to just sort of put it at the beginning, have it start with, like, a singular person, like, dance interlude, and then bring in the people and just make it that like 30 seconds didn't count.
Right.
Like, I want it to just be taken out. And I think that would make all these performances so much better. But the format of the show is restricting them so hard. Mm-hmm. I hope this format never comes back. And it won't because this show doesn't know what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean, I will say it is the best performance that One Us has ever done. I do want to know why they got to do weird, like, cutting back and forth between this and Images.
Right.
Like they did it, and then it went to, like, a weird narration over.
Yeah, we had, like, a
cinematic.
whole like animated cinematic made for them or whatever.
It seemed very odd, but you know what? I'm not gonna complain.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best they've done all series. So then we get Unite, which got Armageddon from aespa.
Mm-hmm. Which is, like, it's actually okay because Armageddon does just sound like it should be a boy group song.
A boy group song anyway?
Yeah.
Fair.
And it's, like, this, and as far as, like, Unite's performances on this show, this is, like, not one that I'm mad at because the theming works for them. Like, it works for the theme of the song.
It is sort of the theme already of Armageddon.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? I'll give it to you. Like, it's fine. And that's about it, though. It's like, there's nothing spectacular about it, but it is like a solidly fine performance from them.
I'll give it this. It is a different color than they've worn. Yep. Green camo is a different color.
We got green camo.
We've got a little Mad Max action.
Yep. Sure do. It is.
Again, is it a performance I'm ever going to remember again? No.
No, not at all.
Absolutely not. Left no impression on me whatsoever.
Yeah.
But like, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, like it's sure.
Perfectly serviceable for this show.
For this fine,
maybe an upper tier performance.
Right. Sure.
For this show, honestly, decent.
Pretty good.
Liked it.
Yeah.
Appropriate. We approve.
Being like actively not terrible is honestly like pretty good for as far as the Kingdom series goes, because I feel like I have to.
It's not the
always
highest
account
bar.
for things being like absolutely the worst like cover I've seen in my life, because a lot of those come from this show. So it really just is quite a show. Yeah.
So then we got Gravity, who does Overdose, a song that I feel like is coming back in favor, and I think we need to retire.
I don't know why this is the EXO song they chose, and I also don't particularly like their rendition of Overdose itself. Like, I think it sounds worse than the original.
It does. Also, the fact that I feel like Overdose is in a weird place in the EXO catalog. It is a big hit for EXO.
Right.
But it's also in their, like, weird transitional member era.
Oh, yeah, that has got to be unfortunate timing for EXO. The thing that I was also really mad about in this performance is Overdose has, like, a pretty iconic, like, choreography section.
Choreography for Overdose?
That they just did not do
and,
at
like,
all.
I truly think that the one bit of the choreo that we wanted, which was the like,
drum,
members kneeling...
Yeah,
the drum.
The drumming
where
part,
a member's kneeling down, a member's standing up, and they use them like a drum.
Yes.
Is, I think, as iconic as... if they would have taken out the leg bit in Sherlock.
Oh, yeah.
And they kept the leg bit in Sherlock. Thank God.
And I was like, you cannot take the one piece of choreography out of this performance. Like,
and
we
then
got
just replace it with...
just nothing. Just some generic bullshit.
That's what I'm saying. Generic boy group choreo.
Right.
Not even interesting boy group choreo.
No.
Because I will say that there are pieces of K-pop choreo that, like, that will forever be in your mind. And I'm saying continuously, like, a lot of choreo does kind of, like, get a little boring. But I think there's bits that, like, stay in your mind. I think that, like, the one sorry bit, that's iconic.
Yes.
The drum bit in Overdose, that's iconic.
Yes.
I think that weird hand thing in Lucifer is iconic.
Yes.
And then I think that there's bits in, the one bit I think in I Need You is also iconic. I think there's a lot of iconic bits of choreo in K-pop.
Right.
And I do think that is a kind of a disservice to just take away that and essentially replace it with nothing new. It's not like you're using that time to do a cinematic bit, or you're doing a stunt, or you just cannot be around other... Like, they were in position to do it. There are enough of them.
Right. Like, and it's so like you don't need... It's not like a choreography. You need 12 people. You need 2 people to do that. Like, you don't need it to be... Just 2 people is all you need.
We don't want all of you to do it. If it could just be 2 people doing it.
2 people is all I'm asking for. We can't even get the one iconic piece of choreography out of this song. Are you kidding me?
Not just that, but also, I think the boxes are just a very weird thing in this.
Yeah, I don't love the theming. I don't love their theming for this either. I
don't know what it is.
It's very reminiscent of, so in the first round, the Stray Kids battle, the Tempest and the New Six had, very weird. It's very similar to whatever that theming is, and I don't even know what that theming is, but this is also in that same realm of theming.
And also, to bring us back to when we were talking about A-Turn about boring white outfits.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, please meet boring white outfits.
And the boring white outfits are back.
And, like, they're not bad outfits. They're just boring outfits that I also don't think fits. Because, like, the entirety of this situation feels like it should be, like, weirdly... I think they're trying to be futuristic, but, like, the outfits are not. Right. It's very odd. Also, if you watch that thing enough times, you see a bunch of stagehands.
Uh-huh.
There's a bunch of stagehands just on stage moving stuff around.
That's very funny, actually.
And that's, honestly, that was the funniest bit of that whole performance. Yeah. They needed to have... And, like, the fact that I'm not that engrossed that I can find the stagehand in the back.
Right.
Like, what up, man? My guy, do your job. It just feels like, what are we doing?
What are we doing here?
And, like, Overdose is a good song.
It is. It is honestly one of my favorite EXO songs.
It is.
But this is not it. This one is not
it. This is another thing where I'm like, I think that, one, this is not even, like, the most vocally difficult EXO song. But I just think that there comes a point where, like, certain K-pop groups thrive a lot on charisma. And I think a lot of members of EXO are quite charismatic. Members of Unite don't have as much.
Oh, yeah, definitely not.
All right, Last Boys.
The
last performance of these boys.
Uh-huh.
That wasn't even on purpose.
Yep.
Because Tempest, who will get eliminated this round, did not make it to the finale for some reason.
Get eliminated this round.
Even though I kind of get it, because Tempest did not play to their strengths at all this entire show.
They did not. They really were flopping. They were flopping the whole time, honestly.
They did Jopping.
Yeah.
Why are we bringing back Jopping? That song is like 8 years old.
I don't know.
Happening?
The choice of song was so confusing for me. I was like, but...
The choice of song every time for Tempest
but why
is
Jopping? Yeah. And it's weird. It's like a weird techno Jopping, and it also sounds worse than the original.
It does.
And it's like the Matrix themed.
It's weird because I also don't even think they remixed Jopping. I feel like they just played 2 tracks at the same time.
They put like a different instrumental track underneath Jopping and just like made it sound weird for some reason.
Made it worse.
Yeah.
Please meet boring black outfits and a boring white outfit.
Oh yeah.
Not even trying to make the ace blend in at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like this is bad. I'm sorry, Tempest. I like Tempest. But this is one of the worst performances of this whole thing. I think just overall it was messy. It had a clear vision.
Yeah.
But one, I think the vision was poorly thought out. And 2, I think the overall presentation was messy.
It was messy.
I think the members never seemed fully confident.
That's kind of Tempest on the entire show for me, is they seem very,
yeah,
they just seemed lacking, like, in a lot, and I don't know in what exactly, but a lot of things about a lot of their performances just felt very lacking, and I just
feel like they felt like they were holding back.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what they were holding back.
Right, but it was
something about it was just, they were never felt 100% comfortable. We have glass cages again.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just sort of rapping in them while not dancing. Like, we have a weird, like, light-up go-kart situation that's just very odd.
Yep.
It feels... I understand why Tempest got eliminated. One, I think they played against every shank they ever had.
Oh, yeah.
And then also, I just feel like the fact of the matter is, if you're trying to rebrand yourself on these shows, and I think it's a bit of a similar problem that Lovely's had. All the way back in Queendom.
Yeah.
Which is that if you're not, like, you already have what your group is. Tempest is not new. Tempest has been here. Tempest has been around. But if you're trying to rebrand and you aren't even convinced of your rebrand, how are you going to convince me of your rebrand?
Right, honestly.
That's the problem.
Right.
I think that they needed... maybe they needed to make a comeback in the rebrand. Maybe they weren't sure how people were reacting to it.
Right.
I don't remember what the last Tempest comeback sounded like.
I don't either. But Tempest has had, like, a weird, like, kind of roller coaster of, like, sound for their comebacks.
But I also don't think they ever went, like, this hard.
No. They definitely didn't go this direction before.
So I feel like this maybe they weren't, like, love it. Or maybe by this, they were, like, oh, well, maybe they're not 100% in. Like, maybe they thought, like, maybe the people aren't going to like it.
Right.
But you know what it is? I don't know.
I don't know.
I just feel like, I don't know. I felt like there's something missing. but the only people that can tell me what's missing is Tempest.
I know, right?
And they didn't.
They didn't tell us anything.
They had to convince me that this rebrand was worth it. And they never seemed like they were 100% in on it.
Yeah.
And, like, with the results, I think they should go back to what they were doing before.
Honestly, like, with them, I think they probably were trying to figure out if they can try out different sounds. And I think the lesson they should take is no. They should stick to the one sound that they do know really well and are very good at.
Or if you are gonna do it, it needs to be a gradual transition. And not just,
we're gonna
go
going
down the left side of the highway. Now we're just gonna turn right.
Right.
So do we want to do the two other weird performances?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of anything to say about them is my thing though, because there's just they're so boring.
There were two performances, very fire and water. Just aces on stage doing songs, very nondescript.
Yep.
I will say I was bored, but I was so infinitely bored by both.
I was incredibly bored by both of them. I was so bored.
Like a waste of time.
Yeah, of the weird, like, we're gonna do two things in round 3 that we've done. This is
always
by far the worst because it just gave me so much nothing.
Yeah. It sort of reminds me of, do you remember all the way back in Queendom where they did that really fucking random dance?
Oh, yeah, where they had, like, each of them did a separate dance, and then they did
Park Bomb had to call a friend because she doesn't
Park
dance.
Bomb doesn't dance, yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me of that.
Yes, it's very that.
Which is why they ended up having to get, like, they learned her and they were like, you know who we're gonna get for Queendom? Hyolan, who can do both.
Who can sing and dance.
So she doesn't have to call a friend to dance for her.
Oh, yeah. Wild stuff. Yeah, I literally have nothing to say about either of them, because they're both very formidable, both very boring.
I have no thoughts.
Literally no thoughts on either of them.
On to the finale.
Oh yeah, we eliminate Tempest right before the finale, because they come in
left.
I think what happens is they come in last place in both Ace Accumulative and the team scores, and so I think they just immediately get eliminated, if I remember that correctly.
That feels correct.
Yeah. They don't even get to battle.
Tempest hasn't really been showing much of anything.
They haven't been doing a lot. They're not really accomplishing a lot here.
Yep.
Okay.
Somehow the crew one made it.
The crew one made it? That's wildly shocking to me that they made it on there. I feel like there had to have been some type of producer interference in a way, but I don't know.
But also at the same time, I feel like the two people that did get eliminated, you know what? Fair enough.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the finale. Taemin performs, and I have forgotten that Taemin is technically the host of the show. I'm like, Taemin, you're here.
He is. Yep.
What's up, Taemin?
Yep.
That's the true ace of ace. Taemin.
Taemin is here. Taemin does host the show, I forgot. Yep.
So we get the first performances, the first original. These are all original songs.
Yeah,
baby.
we got original songs now.
And I'll give it this. Much like in the first Road to Kingdom, unlike in actual Kingdom, where a bunch of these songs feel like they could have been actual title tracks, the songs from Road to Kingdom feel like decent B-sides.
Right.
But they also did in the first Road to Kingdom. So, like, at least we're staying consistent.
Right. It's like they're not throwing out their bangers for the Road to Kingdom finale.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Like, at the very least, it's all decent B-sides and nothing too insane. So, like, they are a little... I was trying to think, because I'm like, these songs don't sound as good as the other original songs. And then I just remembered that that all I was thinking of are original songs from actual Kingdom.
Yeah.
Where, of course, they would be amazing.
Right.
Not Road to Kingdom, where, oh yeah, those songs were fine.
Right.
Basquiat is not gonna be out here being the Pentagon.
Nope. Sure as hell aren't doing that, yeah.
Absolutely not. So, first we got Unite with Belief. And one, it does kind of just sound like... It does very much remind me of ONE US's original Road to Kingdom song, Come Back Home. Like, less dark exorcism vibes, more vague night vibes, but still a similar level of drama. And much like everything that Unite has done on the show, it is fine. And I infinitely don't remember it after I've watched it.
I watched it once and I was like, that was fine, I guess.
I do like that they are attempting to use the stage. They are moving around.
Right.
I do like that as the show has gone, and by as the show has gone on, they have, because this is an original song, and this is a song that they might want to release at some point, they did sort of cut the Ace of Ace bits.
They did.
Like, maybe there's a dance break, and maybe the Ace is, like, somehow a level above. In the Unite performance, he's on the cheapest looking medieval times castle I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, it is a set. I'll give it that. It is a set.
Yep.
But for the most part, it is fine. You
it's
know
fine.
What? If you're a Unite fan, I'm sure you enjoyed it.
Sure you loved that, but I think
I'm sure you liked it.
It's fine. Yeah.
It's fine.
It's okay, I guess.
Honestly, I do think it's just fine.
Yep.
And honestly, for what it is, you know what? We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I do appreciate, at the very least, that they went with a good sounding song, and then we're like, we're gonna do theming. The song doesn't have to sound like the theming almost at all.
No.
And thank God for that. All right, next we got the crew one with Hit the Floor.
This is the one thing they've done on the show that I kind of like.
This is the one
I kind of like
it. This is their best performance.
Their best thing they've done on the show. And they've put out 2 of the worst covers I've ever seen in my life on this show.
They've done a lot. They are questionable on the best of days. And luckily, thank God, this was their disbandment
This one is
song.
nice. This is great. Yeah, their disbandment
I don't know who gets
song,
to keep it.
Right. Who gets custody of this song? Who's to say? But it's fun.
At the very least, it did seem like, honestly, I think maybe because this was two groups, they might have had a higher budget situation, because the structure that was built for this is, one, very simple, but I will say there had to have been a decent amount of planning involved. Because there is, like, a boxing ring, and then there's, like, what appears to be kind of skate tunnels, and then they go into the tunnels. And then they just keep going through the tunnels.
Yes, and as soon as we got to the tunnels, I was like, where are we right now?
Yeah, because I'm like, are we backstage?
Like, where? We're just, like, suddenly underground. I was like, where
also,
are we?
It's a lot of tunnels. And it's not like we double back.
Right. It's like, weirdly, it feels very large. Like a large amount of tunnels.
I have to imagine a lot of it starts on, like, the weird boxes on the sides, and maybe it goes under the stage. But, dear God, it's a decent structure that was built.
Oh, yeah.
And then they end up on top of the skate ramp.
Yep.
The song overall is fine.
Pretty fun.
It's very 90s.
Yeah.
And I do like that. It's very, like, fun, bright 90s.
Right.
90s hip-hop. They do have that weird little, like, elevator thing that just shoots you up.
Yes, they do have one of those. Yes.
And, like, overall, I like it a lot.
Yes.
I do think, again, the main issue is that this is not a group.
Not a group.
A cohesive group.
Nope. This is 2 groups we've put together, and also completely refuse to acknowledge are 2 separate groups. So
exactly.
I don't know. That's where we're at with them.
Yeah. So realistically, I don't know who gets custody of the song, or if the song will just never be played again.
Right.
I also wouldn't be surprised if the song is just lost to time.
It could be just lost to time. I wouldn't be surprised if we just lose it forever.
And, like, to be honest, the song does it's good, but it does a little bit sound like if I was making a drama about a hip-hop focused K-pop group. Like, it's not enough of the quality. It does feel like the tier below. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if the crew one was in the next, what was it? What was the show we watched? Imitation.
Oh,
if that was, like, Imitation's 2's group. You know what I mean?
Right.
I see. Instead of being EXO clones, they're just, like, a bit of a 90s, early 2000s hip-hop group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
that's what it feels like. It feels like I could hear this being played in a drama 80 times.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But overall, I do think the staging was my favorite part.
The staging
Whoever
is
did
great.
that stage,
whoever did that set, great job.
Raise.
That was a great set.
You deserve a raise.
Yeah.
But everything else is fine. I think this is the best thing that the crew one did, and thank God it's over.
Right.
So then we have One Us.
Oh, One Us.
With I Know You Know. And I think they know that I know that they know that this is just
it's so
Come Back Home but worse.
It's like so confusing. The song itself is
it's
just
a lot.
very confusing sounding.
Because it is vampires.
Oh, yeah.
The answer is vampires. But I don't know if they're just not allowed to commit like they were in the first one, because Come Back Home was dramatic as shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It sounded like they were finding the Holy Grail.
Uh-huh.
And now it just feels like they didn't commit as much.
They're trying to be, it's almost like they're trying to be a little bit sexier this time, but it's like not really, they're not doing it though.
And like, here's the thing, vampires are sexy.
Yeah.
That's a thing. But One Us is not sexy.
No.
Sorry to One Us.
One Us who still
the thing
entire
I love
show
about
has refused to admit that they have any useful members outside of one man. By the way,
one man is
they've
the
got
only
one
man.
useful member, and that's it. Apparently,
and Shion's extensions.
Yep.
It's one man and Shion's extensions.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever does his extensions, also great, deserves a raise. I just feel like the weird auto-tune that kind of reminds me of an EXID song. The weird bits that kind of sound like it's jazz.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of undercut your dark and sexy vampire song by then just bringing in all these random bits.
Right.
But that make you kind of sound like elevator music.
Yeah.
I just find it confused.
It's very
much
confusing.
like how I found One Us to be.
Yes. Confusing. A very fitting way to end off the show, and just confusing
is
overall
One
for
Us
them.
is confused.
Confused.
I think One Us is having... I think it's like the K-pop version of a midlife crisis, because One Us is decently into their career.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, they've never reached the level of superstardom. And I don't even know if they've reached the... I think they're at the point where all of them are getting, like... When did One Us debut?
2019?
2019. So we're, 5 years into a contract.
We're
By
tired.
this point, I think the members are probably thinking...
What am I doing
well,
here?
Not just that, but they have to think of, do we... what is our future?
Right.
Like, do we continue doing this?
Right, right.
And... I don't know if this is like a trial run. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in their heads, obviously.
Right.
But I wouldn't be surprised if conversations like that are being had amongst them.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, is this worth
Do
to
we
continue?
just keep going, like, and nothing
Do we
is
just
wrong?
keep going
Yeah.
do we just keep going, continue? Is it, like, one, artistically, monetarily, personally, all of the above?
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if these are because again, these are 30-year-olds. I think a lot of people 30. One Us is not that old.
They're not that
20-something
old.
year olds. They're not children anymore.
Right.
Like, they understand what this industry is. They've been doing it for years. They were on Produce.
Produce season 2 of all Produce.
They were on Produce season 2.
They went through a lot.
They're hitting their military enlistment age where they're gonna have to do it.
Yep.
They're getting there in their lives where I think that they want to find out, like, what is their future. And I do think that this might be like a weird K-pop midlife crisis.
I think it
I think
probably
you see that happen a lot with K-pop groups as they get, like, older and older and older and closer to their not disbandment date, but to at least their renegotiation period. Did they also think that this would also give them a bit of a leg in their renegotiations? You also think about that. Is like, do we accept that? Like, I do think that there is a lot going on in their heads, especially within the next 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are getting there. And that's, I know, nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I do think that they should be thinking about that. You can't take these decisions lightly.
Right.
Especially for a group that is in One Us's position. Like, they've never reached I'm not even saying your BTS levels. They've never even reached, like, your GOT7 levels.
Oh, yeah,
Or your Infinite, or your, like, that level of fame. They're, like, a level below that. I would say they're up there with, like, you know, I think Pentagon's going through the same thing. I think your SF9s are going through the same thing. SF9 a little bit more successful, but you know what I mean? Like, when you're in that, like, mid-tier of K-pop, those are the groups that have to think, is it worth it to keep going?
Right.
Personally.
Oh, yeah.
Each of them individually, obviously. I'm sure the company would love to just keep them on as, like, a fucking retainer to whatever.
Well, I don't know. There's gotta be at some point in time where
There's gotta be a
where they
level.
lose money for them at some point.
Yes, but I'm talking, like, I think ONEUS doesn't lose money, but I can't imagine they're making a lot of money.
Right.
Like, that mid-tier where it's, like, the company, every time they do a comeback, they don't lose money.
Right.
But these people aren't millionaires. You know what I mean?
Right.
That level of, like, K-pop group where, like, I imagine, like, every time ONEUS makes a comeback, they do decently well.
Right.
But they aren't, like, raking it in.
Right.
Plus the fact that I don't see any of them really doing anything outside of this. They're not writing. They're not producing, really. They're not acting.
They're just
I like that I'm now
they're
going
just
through, like,
existing,
a weird...
I guess.
They're just existing as ONEUS.
Yeah.
I do like that I'm going through a weird ONEUS existential crisis on behalf of the members
on behalf
of ONEUS.
of them, yeah.
Maybe they haven't even thought about this and they're like, you know, we're just living our lives one day at a time. But I'm like, I do think that, like,
be concerned
these
for
are the
your future.
These conversations, I think, are stuff that all these K-pop groups have to have. And, like, maybe for the girls, it's a little more cut and dry because you do lose your popularity so steadily as a girl group. Like, there's the 7-year curse, but it only really affects the women mainly because it's like, well, the new shiny girl group comes along. Even before you reach 7 years, but, like, especially when you reach 7 years. And then, like, for the boys, it's like there is a weird, more of a gray area there. It's like, do you keep trying?
Right.
And you just become fucking, like, do you become B2B where you get more successful as you get older? Or do you become, you know, someone that fades into obscurity? Who's to say? I do hope they're having these conversations for their own benefit.
Well, you would hope so, yeah.
I would hope so. I hope they're having these conversations. They have to be, right? You'd think. But, like, I do think that might also be a factor within the ONEUS. Maybe that's why ONEUS is so confused. I don't know. Moving on, I really have nothing to say about the song.
Yep, it's weird and confusing.
It's a song. Alright, now we have Gravity.
So boring. What a boring song.
Gravity has been consistently boring this whole show.
Yeah. So boring. And it's like, oh man. A lot of what they're doing reminds me of the boys on Kingdom.
It is.
Not on Road to Kingdom, but on Kingdom.
Where they were trying to, like, connect all of their performances together.
Yeah, and a lot of what the boys did on Kingdom in comparison to Road Kingdom was Kingdom for them was very fine. It wasn't bad, but it was fine. And that's kind of where Gravity has been for me the entire season.
Yeah, Road to Kingdom, the boys was exceptional. Kingdom, the boys was
They were there
fine,
for sure.
at best.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they gave us genuinely terrible performances.
Right,
See that also
right.
led me a performance
Right.
that I will never shut up about.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this has a lot of doorways. Very boy next door of them.
Very Boy Next Door to have all those doors, yeah.
So many doors. They got the talk to me hand back. They got
they
props.
did. Oh shit, I forgot about the hand. Yeah.
Forgot the talk to me hand.
Yeah.
Again, can I artistically somewhat appreciate them trying to connect all their performances? Sure. But also, this is Road to Kingdom, people.
Yeah.
This is not the Ark of the goddamn Covenant.
It has, like, some audacity you have to try to think you're important enough for that on this show.
It's fine. It's very King Arthur. There's a sword and a stone. I don't know. I just feel like everything Gravity did was fine. Nothing exceptionally terrible that I can remember. Maybe I'm forgetting. Again, they blur together with a group like Unite. They blur together with the crew one. No, the crew one is a little bit worse. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, so many of the groups in this show blur together because they're just doing the same thing.
Uh-huh.
That I'm like, what even is this show? Like, I don't know. I feel like we lost the new six, but I feel like the new six could have taken the place of whoever was in here.
Oh, yeah.
Done the same performances, and I would have felt the same way.
Right, right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I do think Tempest could have done the same performances, and I would have felt the same way.
The new six in particular, I feel, has way too much overlap as a group concept with, like, Unite and with Gravity, and just, like, generally. I feel like there's way too much overlap.
One of them really did need to go, or else we would have gotten 3 of the same performances.
As we saw in the second round of the show, when we were given, like, 4 performances with the exact same identical concept. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, last boys, best boys.
Best boys.
Best boys.
Yes.
8-turn.
8-turn, so good. Love them.
8-turn is just the cute. 8-turn is doing Classroom Concept. Why were none of these people in Classroom Concepts?
Yes.
These are not old men.
So good.
They also brought bits of their old performances. They're in basketball uniforms. What is basketball if not also a sport like football?
It's very get your head in the game from high school.
It's very get your head in the game. It's very whatever very varies.
Beautiful
original
X,
song
that's
was.
very much like
Beautiful
that.
X.
Very similar to that in concept, yeah.
They did ballography. Very get your head in the game.
Get your head in the game.
Again, that's the most exciting trick I've heard. Anything, like, sure, throwing one ball in the air, but like 4 people throwing the ball in the air at the same time.
Fantastic.
That's kind of cool.
Iconic. We love it.
They're adorable. I love I love 8-turn.
I love them. They're great.
Just thriving.
The true winners of the show, 8-turn.
It's insane.
The moral winners.
It's insane to me. There's a bit in this that just feels exactly like Beautiful X. Where it's like 3 of them just thriving.
Yep.
And I don't know, man. I feel like, how do I say this without it coming off mean, but also at the same time I think it should come off mean.
Mm-hmm.
I do think overall 8-turn is the only person on the show that had any reason to be doing this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And by reason I mean like they had, like, I feel like you go into this show wanting having something to say, wanting to present your group in a positive light.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only ones that accomplished that.
Oh yeah.
At all. Who else did that? Like the crew one's not even a real group. They had cheerleaders. I love cheerleaders.
I'm like, there's groups that definitely came on here with the same goals as 8-turn. Did they accomplish it? Absolutely not.
No. Absolutely not. It's insane to me what happened here.
Oh, yeah.
That, again, all of them had the same goal. But I do think that for you to accomplish this goal, I think you need to have a clear identity. Because I couldn't remember everybody that was on Road to Kingdom 1. So I looked it up. And honest to God, in terms of the people that were on that original show, one, I do think that they shot themselves in the foot because so many of these people were far more established. But let's be honest here. Every single one of these groups had far more of an identity than what any of these groups here have, other than 8-turn. You had Pentagon. Pentagon had an identity.
Yeah.
Pentagon had a goddamn hit song before they were even on that show.
Oh, yeah.
ONF. We didn't like ONF at the time, but I knew who ONF was. And sure, they were more of a generic boy group. Them and Very Very were 2 that were a little more on the fence.
Yeah.
But Golden Child, that's an identity. The Boys, that's an identity. One Us had an identity, and 2 was too new to even have an identity.
Oh yeah, 2 was there for the nepotism, the Mnet nepotism.
But you go from having what 8-turn, who knows who they are, but then you have Pentagon, Golden Child, The Boy. Like, just look at the caliber of boy group. We're simply
at a different caliber of boy group on the show than we did when we originally ran this show.
But at the same time, I'm like, what are we even doing? Like, I want to compare the fact that The Boys came in first place with Checkmate.
Yep.
Do you know who came last on that first season of Kingdom?
Who did come in
Very,
last?
very with Beautiful X.
Uh-huh.
I remember Beautiful X infinitely more than I will remember the winning song from this show.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
And I don't even think that it's just where K-pop is now. I just think that in the pursuit of K-pop being one of the biggest industries in the world, and I do think that this is more of a general problem with K-pop, not so much with, and a little bit with this show in particular, but in the pursuit of K-pop being super popular, you've made these K-pop groups into quote-unquote chameleon. They can do anything. They're just gonna just do the popular sound. But at the end of the day, that's not... What does that do for them? If, at the end of the day, I can't tell Unite apart from the new Six, apart from... I don't even know any other K-pop groups. What are the new boys that just... What are the new... Cube boys that just debuted?
I don't even know, honestly.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I can't tell any of these boys apart, how does that help me?
Mm-hmm.
If I can't tell them apart from Zykers, how does that help anybody? And I do think it is important for each K-pop group to have an identity. Sure, it will limit all of them to be popular with certain people, but, like, you can have a breakout hit. People will always look for things. And I do think that it's better for overall for the group. That's how you get long-term fans. Again, I really hope for the best for 8-Turn and their future endeavors. I was made a good on our bet and I bought an 8-Turn album. I own one.
I don't own one yet, but I will own
I
one.
like them
They're
a lot.
great.
I hope for the best. I
hope the best for them.
amazing things for 8-Turn. They're the only people on this show that I think had something to say. And, like, that's, like, I don't think anybody needs to have something to say on, you know, about the world on Road to Kingdom Ace of Ace.
Mm-hmm.
But at least about your own group. Tell me who you are.
Right, honestly.
If you can't tell me who this group is in, like, 30 sentences, in, like, 3 sentences or less, maybe we got an issue here. So that's the show.
That's the show.
And then what's it called? The results were exactly what we thought it was going to be. Gravity won.
Yep.
One
Sure
Us
did.
came in second. 8-Turn came in third. Honestly, good for 8-Turn.
There's a huge gap in between second and third, though, and third and the
absolutely.
rest, third, fourth, and fifth are like very close, very close in score.
But I will take the bronze medal for 8-Turn. I will take
the third place for 8-Turn for sure. Yeah,
they deserve.
They do deserve that.
And also, I do think that is a harder hurdle because they are the newest group. That was 2 fandoms that got that one group to 5th place.
Yep. Honestly, we love that. We love that for 8-Turn. We love the third place for 8-Turn.
The 8-Turn, much like Oh My Girl, much like Icon, or SF9. There were 2 moral winners of Kingdom. Let's be honest, the only people that should have won the season they were on is the boys in Road to Kingdom.
Uh-huh.
That I can't even I can't argue with. But Oh My Girl, moral winners of Queendom. I think we went with SF9, moral winners of Kingdom.
Yeah.
And then who's the moral winners of Queendom too? Who didn't?
WJSN won, and that felt deserved. So that felt not terrible.
I wanted Hyolyn to win.
Yeah.
I don't care. We didn't care that much about that season. And now, officially, 8-Turn moral winners of Road to Kingdom Ace of Ace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Deserved.
Very deserved.
I like that this... Well... What will be the gimmick next time?
I don't know if we can do this show again. Like,
we say that every time, and
I don't mean us. I mean Mnet. As like, I don't know if they can run this format of a show again and like really do anything with it.
I have no idea. I do not think they can run Road to Kingdom again. The insanity that was the downgrade from what we had to what we have now. Because I do think the level of K-pop stardom has changed so drastically. Again, I think we're at least getting another season of Kingdom. Just Kingdom 2, the way they did Queendom 2.
I don't know if they can cast I don't know if they can cast a Kingdom 2 is my biggest thing.
We didn't think they could cast a Road to Kingdom 2, and here we are.
Well,
Again,
I mean, Road to Kingdom, they can cast whoever the fuck they want, because there are so many new boy groups out here that all they have to do is lower their standards for the show, and lowering the standards for Road to Kingdom is far easier than it is to do for a show called Kingdom.
All I'm saying is that I think that I truly do think that Mnet will find a way. Even if it's just all the produce branch groups.
We honestly would love it, like a produce apology, like some type
the produce apology tour?
Type of tour, yeah, a Kingdom tour.
I do think we do need the produce apology tour.
Yeah.
Get whatever groups come out of I think that should be that's how you get the contract extension for ZB1, is that like, wait, but you have to be on this show. Mm-hmm. So you get all the groups that come out of ZB1, then you get Even, then you get who else we got? There's more. TNX. We got TNX from Japan. And the other ones too, whose names I always forget.
I can't think of anyone else.
We get all these boys together. That's Kingdom. We get the Kingdom Produce Edition.
That's the only iteration of Kingdom I'd be excited for.
You want to know the funny iteration. Bit? That could also be how you get Us back on the show again.
Oh my god, you're right.
To all produces.
We get a third,
even original produce.
Round 3 for Us on Kingdom. Oh god.
And then, hey, there's only one way to go. I think they came in like 4th on Road to Kingdom. Now they're gonna come in. Now they came in 2nd. Yeah. So maybe they can just keep going up. Maybe they'll finally win.
Yeah. Oh my god.
No, you know who'd win that? That Yehua group would win.
The Yehua group would easily. They would sweep. They would sweep every aspect of that show.
That Yehua group would 100% win, or whoever gets Zhang Hao.
Oh yeah.
Not Zhang Hao. Hanbin.
Oh, yeah.
Hanbin and maybe Matthew. Yeah. I do not think either. Because, one, Hanbin can't stay where he is.
Hanbin can't because it's the Ravi company, so he needs to leave that.
Again, do we think that... Again, in my mind, I think that Hanbin and Matthew become the new Chaewon and Sakura.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to get poached.
Poached.
I would love if Yehua would be the one to poach.
I don't know if they care enough to, like, pay the exorbitant fees.
But, like,
maybe Hive does again.
How much pull does Zhang Hao have in Yehua?
How much stock do you think he has?
How much stock does he have in the company where he
Maybe he got a lot.
He can negotiate.
He can negotiate
some type of Hanbin transfer to
Yehua. Can you imagine Yehua has 5? No.
4.
6. No, with the other 2.
With the other 2, it'd be 6 out of 9, yeah, which is crazy.
6 out of 9.
Absolutely crazy thing to do.
That'd be an insane group. That would just be ZB1.
It would just be ZB1 at that point. Because who would they... Let's think about that, actually, because they wouldn't have Jiwoong, Tae-rae, or Gunwook. And that's fine.
Neither of them seem like I really feel like I would be wasting my life without. Right. Like, honestly, you get that one kid from Even.
Yeah.
You get that one kid from Even back. That's your Tae-rae. That's your vocal.
Oh, yeah.
You get Ollie back. That's basically Gunwook.
Oh, yeah.
That's a little gremlin. And then, I don't know, we get another one. And then you got and then you basically have ZB1 too, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I think, Yehua, call us.
Call us, Yehua.
Call us Yehua female CEO. Actually, owner? I don't remember who she is, but it's absolutely fucking hilarious. She's always winning. They had to have cracked the system, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yehua, they have to have.
They've cracked it. They have 4 out of 9.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane. Well, before we just keep talking about ZB1.
Yep. That's it. That's gonna be it for Road to Kingdom, Ace of Ace. What a terrible iteration of the show it is.
I hope,
but that's it.
The format is the problem.
The format is definitely the problem. Yeah,
I would be so curious how this show would have changed if the format was not this shitty. Because I do think, like, there is some raw talent here, but the format was so shitty. And I wouldn't be surprised if the format was also super limiting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so limiting. Like, I feel like they were like, well, we already have to figure out all these other shit, so we're gonna go with the most bottom-of-the-barrel basic songs and performances.
Uh-huh.
But because we already have to think about 80 other things to fit the format of this goddamn show.
Yep.
Well,
that's been
Godspeed, A-Turn.
Godspeed, A-Turn. We will actually have some podcast episodes for the end of the year, so
we will
look forward to those. We'll be doing.
We did find 10 good and 10 horrendous songs.
Yes, we do have the top and bottom 10, and then we also have an awards for this year. So I can't promise they're all going to come out by the time the year's over, but they will come out. So
they will be out at some point. And you know what? We in the year of mid, I am very happy we got great and some shit.
Oh yeah,
It was hard, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
All right.
We'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.